Hi, this is Nico, and today on Serial Pleasures, I am talking with Taylor, who owns Cultcollectiblesorg, and he has one of the coolest murderabilia websites on the internet. You probably have seen his stuff. And today we are talking about his collection, his website, and his most recent uh, adventure in the murderabilia. How do I say this?
The universe, the
Universe.
multiverse.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Metaverse. No, not metaverse.
hmm
Universe. Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
So, Taylor, can you tell us a bit more about Collectibles and how it started and whatever you want to say about it?
Yeah, for sure. So it's good to finally talk to you. By the way, we've I think for years
Yeah,
done some trades and sales and done some projects together, but never actually
absolutely.
talked.
The first time we see each other live.
Yeah, around the I started talking to you around when I started this too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I to get the quick version, I used to be a reseller on eBay, and then eBay kicked me off for a few true crime related things.
Mm,
And I had kind of picked up enough true crime things, thrifting and buying different collections, that I was like, well, I'll make a site for it. Maybe, but the plan was just to work on my collection. Maybe I would cover the hosting fees for the year, and break even. And then it just kind of got momentum. I was finding different things and learning how to hunt for different kind of items, different ways of sourcing stuff. And now it's just kind of blown up a bit. It's where it's been my full job for close to 2 years now. Um,
cool.
and I've gone from just collecting to now with working with documentaries and writing stuff and all kinds of different projects.
Is it a full-time thing for you now?
Yeah, more than full time. I work
Cool.
way more than 40 hours
Yeah.
a week, but I just do this. But yeah, it's a lot of. I mean, it doesn't feel like work because it's so much fun, right? But
Yeah.
it's a fully dedicated project every day.
So I guess it's the same. We share similar things as in the way that we work as merchants. How
hmm
would you define yourself as a merchant? Sometimes I hear the word death merchant. Is that something you like to hear about the hobby itself, or is it something that you don't relate to at all?
No, that works for me.
Mm.
I mean, I get asked a lot what I do when I'm meeting people, right? And
Yeah.
it's hard to describe because if I say, oh, I sell murderabilia, they go, what's murderabilia? I got to explain it.
Mm.
Usually I just tell people um, that I sell like serial killer and cult and true crime artifacts and documents and artwork and relics and stuff. It's kind of hard to summarize, but to people who kind of know the true crime world a bit better, I just say that I'm a murderabilia dealer is the main
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
title.
that's the thing. And what's funny about the word murderabilia is that it was actually used at first as a pejorative term,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and we actually took it back and use it as collectors and dealers. So that's the
yeah.
funny thing about the word itself. So we actually claimed it. That's the funny thing about the word murderabilia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely is a little. It seems a little tacky and edgy, but
yeah,
it's sort of come back around to a lot of people who do this kind of stuff aren't just buying and selling things. You're communicating with people, making friendships, and
yeah.
networking, and finding information no one's seen before. Preserving things that would get lost. Kind of the almost has more of a historian kind of aspect to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Uh, what what was the thing that got you started in collecting? Is there a specific case or
Yeah, it was Jonestown. Jonestown was the number one. That's why it was called Collectibles. So I made an Instagram account called Collectibles ages ago, just for some things I had bought. I went through and I was like, Jonestown's really cool. I want to read all the books. So I got all the books, and then I got all the DVDs that were made about it, and then I got all the magazine covers, which are a bit harder to find than some of the newspapers. And once I kind of ran out of things to find on eBay, right? Because eBay's pretty strict with that kind of stuff. Only certain things get through. I started networking and trying to meet people, saying, "Hey, where can I get documents from the People's Temple, or the album they put out, or maybe some items from San Francisco, or items from Jonestown, And through that, I ended up getting into a few like private Facebook groups that aren't around anymore, but I met people there. And then it just kind of, once I started collecting that for a while, it was like, okay, well now, if I want a new Jonestown item, I have everything. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 years before a new item comes up, right? Because it's so, once you get to the more rare levels.
Yeah.
So Jonestown, I went into Heaven's Gate. And then with the same thing with Heaven's Gate, I kind of ran out, and it was slow to find new things. And it was into the Branch Davidians in Waco. And it was just cult focused when I was collecting personally for a long time. And then I kind of started having people, when I would make trades, be like, hey, are you interested in this serial killer thing? And I was like, oh, maybe. And then once I got a little taste of that, it was like, well, this is, as opposed to collecting, specific stuff, now I can kind of collect anything I think is cool and have a very diverse collection. So the true crime stuff was sort of a fluke that I got into that too, but now it's kind of, they go hand in hand now.
What do you think would be the hardest thing to get in terms of murderability? Is it cults, serial killers? I don't know. Is there anything that's more difficult than other stuff to find or to
Well, I think that the hardest stuff tends to be items from outside of North America, right? So in Japan with Om Shinrikyo, you can find some things, but any of the I guess you would say the big time items for them, very hard to get. With the People's Temple, you can find items. I've got items from San Francisco and California and different things, but getting items from Jonestown, actual Jonestown in Guyana, is difficult because it's somebody would have had to have been mailing them at the time, a relative, and then the items got mailed back, and then somebody saved it for however long.
What happened to the compound? I don't even know. What's up with Jonestown nowadays? Is it just jungle or?
It's over. Yeah, it's pretty overgrown. Essentially, they took the bodies out. They demolished some stuff. There's still some things there. There's a memorial, but it's like completely the jungle now. Like you would never, if you went to go look for it, you'd never find it. You'd have to have people bring you there. I'm sure that there's some cool stuff laying around, some things maybe buried or whatever. There's probably cool things, but it's it's fully jungle now.
Wow, it's amazing. What's really cool about cults is that so many years after you still there's still this fascination with the personalities of the leaders.
For sure.
Are you into the solar temple at all? The Canadians and
the Order of the Solar Temple. Yeah. Well, that's a really weird story because they had a mass suicide that was like a burning, I think, like 30 people burned themselves alive or something. Yeah. Very cool. It was very mysterious. Like they were almost more of a secret society, I think
they were Knight Templars. The guys who started it in France, they were into Knight Templars, and one of them was into what's called Luciferian witchcraft when he was way younger. So the development of all this is really interesting, and how they became who they were after that. Really fascinating case.
Yeah, very ritualistic. I had I think 2 press photos maybe ages ago, but I never found anything really for them. I'm always trying to hunt for at least one piece from every interesting group, for my personal collection. But they're ones that they're very, very secret, very hush hush. There isn't really anything around.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh. How about serial killers? Is there any specific one that you have more interest in, or you would love to have a specific item from him or her?
It's I'm a little more kind of scattershot with that. There isn't like one thing or one person or one case. What I kind of do is I'll buy when I get collections, I'll maybe keep one item for myself from each name. And then if a few years later I get a different item that I think is better or more rare, then I'll keep that one for myself as well. I like to keep a rotation, because if I have one item from every single case, it's going to add up to a lot, right? So I try not to just collect on a specific guy. For my personal collection, at least. When it comes to my site, like inventory or whatever, I want to just be able to have as much variety as I can for people, because people who only want letters or only want signed photos or only want relics, you know. So
Mm.
I try to, for every case, get as many different things that I can, just so I have the variety for people.
There's a high demand on Ramirez, for example, those days because of
Yeah.
Netflix.
Hmm.
Do you see any trends going on? Have you seen any trends for the past 2 years for specific killers like Bundy, Ramirez?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think from even when I started, it's the ones that are always harder to get. You know, you've got, I think the top tier, at least in terms of kind of value, is you got Bundy, Dahmer, Gacy is up there because of his art. Some of it, you know, even his letters can be expensive. And then you've got a little below that, you've got, you know, BTK,
Yeah.
Eileen Wuornos, Richard Ramirez, because he, you know, his stuff is very sought after, especially his art, but he did a lot of it. You know, he was in prison for a long time. He
Yeah.
wrote a lot of people. Um,
Mhm.
so it's I find that with him specifically, names like him or even Charles Manson letters, people are really interested in the content. You know, if you have Jeffrey Dahmer or Bundy, no matter what they wrote about, could be the most
Yes.
boring letter in the world, someone's going to want it. But when
Mm.
you get to guys that have a little more out there, people really kind of want to read the letters and find something they can kind of connect with and have a personal
Mm.
interest in. You know,
Yeah.
but it always and I don't think it specifically goes hand in hand with like a Netflix series or a documentary, but um, yeah, it kind of adds fuel to the flame, you know.
Yeah.
Even with, like, for instance, Sam Little, right? He's the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. Was in prison for quite a while. Nobody really cared, and then he sort of got the thing that was big for him was when he started doing the drawings of
Yes.
his victims, and the FBI was publicly releasing them and using it to close cold cases.
Mm.
And then that became really popular. Then people wanted to get some of his art because they found out, oh, this guy's, you know, so prolific and he does art. And then he died shortly afterwards. So
Mm.
there was a small period where he was doing art for people.
Mm.
And now those are very sought after, even his letters, because people didn't really have a chance to get in contact with him until after he had died, right?
Yeah. Okay. Um, which leads us to the Dahmer Collection. Can you tell us a
Yes.
bit about the Dahmer Collection now?
Yeah, this is probably, it's well, definitely the most significant thing I'm going to ever work with, I think, doing this. I kind of just was like right place, the right time. Got in touch with some people. They reached out to me, but we worked together for quite a while to figure it out, just because of kind of the size of the collection and what was here. But to summarize it, yeah, we made a contract and I got everything sent here. And then I spent maybe 3 or 4 months just doing inventory and organizing and reaching out to media, documentaries and stuff, and publishers saying, hey, listen, there's some new audio or new pictures or this or that that you guys might be interested in.
Mm.
So I've been dealing with that a lot, dealing with some museums because a lot of them are big
Yeah.
pieces and you know, will draw a crowd. Yeah, and so the past month and a half, I've just been putting some things on my site. I've been doing some of the documents here. I've been making replicas of, because the originals are quite expensive, quite valuable. But a
Mm.
lot of people want to just have a copy of it, right? So I've been doing that. I've been
Yeah.
doing some prints off of certain items. I'm kind of in making a Jeffrey Dahmer store almost. Like if anyone's going to go online, look
Mhm.
to buy Jeffrey Dahmer stuff, they want to see a rare photo or they want to own an original item.
Yeah.
I'm trying to curate like that full experience on Cult Collectibles.
This is cool. This is an amazing collection. All the
Yeah.
objects I've seen, they're
Hmm.
one of a kind. One of a kind. We've never seen that in the market, and we will
Hmm.
never see something like that ever again, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's the one. It's almost like the one trove that existed. Nobody knew it
yeah.
was there,
Mm.
and then I just happened to get lucky and work with the people who had it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, on the market, you've got what, maybe 20 letters that are out there.
Mm.
Um, a handful of things, no personal items, and this collection has items from his childhood.
Yeah.
It's got items from inside of his prison cell. There's items from inside of his apartment. Like I was saying, there's unreleased media. There's audio and video that no one's ever seen. Um,
Amazing.
there's a lot of things that were just kind of tossed into storage and not thought about for forever, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it was destroyed. There was a lot of destruction of a lot of his stuff by the police, and then there was a
Yeah.
public
Yeah.
fire of a bunch of things, like his
Mm.
fridge famously got destroyed. But
Of course.
yeah, so this is the only one, and it's really cool. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be working on this for years just because of the depths of some of the items and like some of the specifics in here.
How did you like evaluate the pricings for each specific item? Is it depending on how iconic they are, or for example, the glasses? Uh,
Hmm.
how do you evaluate that? This is a question I ask because this is the question I asked myself when I had to evaluate the stuff that I found at Armin Maivis'
Yeah.
house. I had to
Hmm.
decide what price to give on the big items like
Hmm.
the freezer, and so I'd like to have your point of view on this. What's How did you do it?
It's kind of, I mean, I kind of make it up as I go. I think that I probably was in a better position than somebody new to this because I had
Yeah,
years
sure.
of working with other names, right? So I found some comparable sales, public
Mm.
sales, private sales for maybe not Dahmer specifically, but other big names.
Yeah.
Or I talked to a lot of museums beforehand, a lot of private collectors who have high-end items about their pricing. Um, and I mean, on all the listings too, any kind of listing over $1,000 or higher end stuff, they're all a little flexible, right? Because it's new, it's no one's ever seen this before, no one's
Yeah.
ever dealt in it. I kind of just gotta see what fits, see how the market
Exactly.
reacts to it. So yeah, but like for one, I mean, the glasses, for instance, probably the most valuable thing. They're one of a
Sure.
kind,
Sure.
like from his cell. It's got documentation. But yeah, a lot of it is just feeling out what the prices should be, what people are maybe interested in paying, and then
Yeah.
going from there. I've been doing a lot of smaller items on the site, and I've been doing some auctions through my
Yes.
Instagram to kind of
Mm.
see what people are willing to pay. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's been going well so far.
Did you have
It's a lot of
any
work.
feedback from museums, by the way, that might be interested?
Yeah, but not that I can talk about. But yeah, there
Okay,
is definitely
I
some, because
understand.
some of this stuff is like there's stuff that isn't I can't publicly show or talk about from the collection too,
Okay.
because there's some thing contracts in place and privacy things. But yeah, there's definitely. I mean, I think it's too significant for it not to end up somewhere where it's going to be displayed and
Yeah.
preserved.
Okay,
Mhm.
I understand. Can you show us a few things on camera? Are you
Yeah, yeah,
allowed
yeah,
to show you
yeah.
a
I got
few
a
things?
handful here. Um, I just picked some random kind of things that I think are neat. So this one is
Wow.
Lionel's tape recorder. So
Wow.
when he was it's a bit, it doesn't work. It's a bit beat up. I think I
Hmm.
haven't tried, but it's pretty gunky. Um, when he was working on his book, right, he interviewed Jeff in prison a lot. He talked to him on the phone, and he
Hmm.
recorded all the conversations because he also all of the conversations with lawyers or court things or legal stuff. He recorded those all um, and had very meticulous records, right, and handwritten notes about it. Um, so this one is I just thought it's like a large tangible thing, which is cool. This is what he recorded a lot of those on. Um, some of that unreleased audio I was talking about that eventually will see the light of day. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, that like
This is a cool
it's
item. Yeah.
I think yeah for some reason with cassette decks, I think you had one from Armin as well, right? Some kind of cassette
Yes,
player.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're very interesting to me. I don't know what the appeal is, but
Exactly. It's always interesting to have something
mhm.
that's so. I mean, it records voices,
Yeah,
so
mhm.
there's definitely some kind of energy attached to it. This is how I reason,
Yeah,
because it actually has some kind of organic feel to it.
yeah. It was yeah. It's directly related to the people.
Exactly.
Um, so here's one that's kind of funny. This is so there was some mail that was sent to him in prison because he would get lots of mail and he would send it back with his dad. This is a menu somebody made. I can't show the whole thing because there's some interest in it privately, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's a
Okay.
human
Wow.
meat menu. So somebody typed out. You can see it's on like one of those really old computer.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought of all people you would like this one. Um, it's on like old printer paper. It's got rigor mortis meat, slightly smoked, all the prices for everything.
It got
Uh,
to the
uh,
fantasy. This is amazing.
appendix salsa with crackers, sliced baked kidney wrapped in rectum tissue in a steaming urethra bath. Um, it's
This,
super gross, super detailed.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna scan it and put it online sometime because it's very
Oh
funny.
yeah,
But
this
yeah,
is
this is just
amazing.
something that somebody made. And and sent to him as like most of the letters, I think people were writing him hoping to get a response. So they didn't want to be, be a pain in the ass or be annoying or obnoxious. I think that most people are trying to be respectful. This is not respectful. It's gross. So this one's cool. This is a record of Jeff and his brother's vaccines from when they were kids.
Oh, cool.
So it's got it's from the doctor. I guess one of the parents would have gone in and said, "Hey, we need to get a vaccine record with the dates." You can see the address of the Arkin, Ohio pharmacy there.
It's just like his signature actually, where the word Jeff is not written.
Yeah, it is. Because his writing is a little sloppy too, right? And I think doctors are notorious for that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's got his polio vaccine, tetanus booster. The latest one on here is 1977. So at some point, 1972. 77 is an expiry. So yeah, sometime 72 or 1972 around then is probably the last time this was done. Yeah, there's a lot of, and with this collection, it was so all over the place, right? Like some of the items that would be next to a letter from his lawyer from while he was in prison, right? Yeah. So a couple more things, a couple big ones. So this is one of his Bibles from his cell.
Wow,
you can see it's been beaten up. And I think Bibles tend to be one of the more sought after things from inmates.
There's people who specifically collect Bibles from inmates.
Yeah, exactly. This one, it's got like some little notes in it and some bookmarks and little papers, some highlighted areas. You can see there's some writing in the where did that go? There's some kind of some writing in the margins. It's very probably the most thoroughly written in besides to make a letter maybe thing. But it's got this one in here. The date's kind of worn out. You can see it's signed in the cover.
Oh yeah! Wow, amazing.
So it was given from, and the front page has got a pen pal's information who sent it to him, and then it's got his name that he wrote in here, and then the quote, "May God have mercy on my soul. I'm sorry for my sins. Forgive me, Lord. I've done foul things," which is, I think people kind of know him as being a remorseful guy. So it's interesting to see that handwritten like this in here. So, and with this one, what am I trying to say?
Kind of a proof of remorse. I mean,
yeah, exactly. You don't really have that that tangible anywhere, right? It's always cool to see a new quote because there's quotes from interviews. There's a handful of interviews. There's not much. The last thing I pulled over here, the one that I think people care about the most, are these the iconic glasses, and I mean, it's the Dahmer thing. It's what he's known for. Over anything else is glasses, right? It's not
exactly. It's so iconic. This is crazy.
Yeah, even modern ones, people call them, it's my Dahmer glasses. So these ones they're on his inventory sheet, along with the Bible and some things. They had a kind of an inventory of all the items in his cell when he died, and it had a pair of glasses on there. It took a while to figure this out, but so when he was killed, he obviously had glasses on, or he couldn't see at all without glasses, right? So these were his reading glasses that he kept in the cell. So when he was reading the Bibles or responding to letters, these are the ones he would have worn. And then I was trying to figure out if he was killed in these or not, but I think that the clothes he was killed in, the glasses, I think it all got destroyed. And
that's the procedure.
Gone out with I don't know how that works when those kind of items come into a morgue, but they would have been destroyed or taken into evidence.
Can you show these are the only thick the actual lenses are?
Yeah, they're really kind of thick. You can see on the side they taper out pretty thick. Let me see if I can get it good. They taper up pretty thick around the edges. I can't see anything out of these if I wear them. And so I mean, I don't know the difference of a prescription for his reading glasses versus his everyday glasses, right? But these are for close up. You'd have to be right up there to see with them.
This is crazy.
I mean, that's definitely like a display item. Like somebody's going to have that displayed somewhere forever, right? And I mean, there's definitely smaller items in the collection too. There's some little legal mail and documents and stuff from his dad.
people
Lots of
can
really cool stuff.
actually see your stuff on your website, cultcollectibles.org.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if they're interested, they can purchase them also. So
Hmm.
it's really cool that you actually open this market, this new market, because it's actually a new thing. As
Yeah.
you said, that there was a few things going on the internet before, but there was so few.
Hmm.
So it's amazing to have this, this new collection available now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely the most difficult work I've ever done, in
Mm,
the research and finding out what information is new, working with all the new kind of businesses that I'm working with for this stuff on the side.
yeah,
It's all new experience, but I think that this is going to, not only is it going to be beneficial just to have people get it in their collections, but for me, I'm going to be able to uh, have a better idea of archiving and historical significance and researching and those kind of things, right? For
exactly,
if I'm, let's say I'm writing in the future or working with documentaries or whatever.
exactly.
So I'm very lucky to be I mean, I work 10 to 12-hour days every single day doing these things. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work, but I'm lucky that I'm able to it's just building skills that I think are going to be super useful.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And those objects, they have a soul. They have a soul, and
Oh yeah.
it's important that they are kept in
Hmm.
safe places and with people who actually care for
Yeah.
those objects.
Hmm.
This was my reflection for the Maives objects that were left in this abandoned house. They were
Hmm.
left in the open. Most of the people who were visiting this place, they were not really respecting the place, so
Hmm.
it was open to the rain and to fires and to
Hmm.
those kind of things. So I think it's important to actually preserve those objects and to give them a second life.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
congrats.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, this stuff with Armin too is you must have read the book Cannibal about him, the small kind of
Sure.
paperback. Very
Yeah.
good book. Um,
Yes.
but I'm sure that with the house, you like have a memory of things in the book. Oh, this is that object they talked
Yeah.
about. It
Yeah.
references so much stuff in such detail. So that's
Exactly.
similar with this, where there's books and interviews and Jeffrey Dahmer related media that I've seen where I'm like, oh, this is in reference to this item, or this is in reference to this thing, right?
Mhm.
So making those connections and stuff is it's a very cool feeling, being
Exactly.
able to draw them together. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a side question, but
Hmm.
in terms of what's been done concerning Dahmer in terms of fiction, what would be your favorite Dahmer film or favorite, you know, actor who played Dahmer in a series?
Mm.
What's your
Um,
top one?
I don't honestly. It's and not to throw shade on anything or say it's not good, but everything I've seen has been all right.
Yeah,
Um, Nothing's been blowing me away. Like I
yeah,
liked my friend Dahmer graphic novel, and then
mhm,
seeing the movie, it was good, but it was just the same thing. It's just the
yeah,
same,
exactly. It's an adaptation.
exactly the same, right? And it wasn't bad, but I knew the story, and I even before my friend Dahmer, I knew the story of that from books about him.
Mhm,
Um, so yeah, I think in regards to all the media stuff, maybe even going beyond um, film or TV or whatever, the Lionel Dahmer's book, A Father's Story, which I think
yeah,
just got republished kind of recently, is probably the most unique perspective on it, because Dahmer's
mhm,
probably had more books written about him than anybody, but they're all kind of just telling the story of what happened, right? They're
yeah,
fine. That's kind of the thing that's the most unique, especially because that book, I can connect a lot of things in that book to these items, right? So
yeah,
for me, I mean, I think that if you're going to be reading into Dahmer or looking into Dahmer, the documentaries are fine. They're going to give you a basic kind of thing. But the two big things, I think that Lionel's book for just like a personal story, and then
mhm,
The Shrine of Jeffrey Dahmer by Brian Masters is great as
yes,
well. He's the one
yeah,
who he wrote Dennis Nilsson's book, and then,
true.
or I guess he wrote a very famous book on Dennis Nilsson, and the Dahmer case was so similar. He
Mhm,
worked on that as well, and it's held in a lot of high regard as like if you want to know about the case, that's
mhm.
the good kind of primer to get into.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for participating to that interview. It was
For sure.
extremely interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Thank you.
this collection is really amazing. I really hope that the general public will be able to see some of the objects in
Hmm.
museums,
Yeah.
because it's all good when they are in private collections, of course, but
Hmm.
when they're in museums, it's even better because you,
Oh, of course. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's part of history. Criminal. I
Hmm.
always say that criminal history is part of history,
Hmm.
and those cases, most of the major cases that they date back from 50 years ago, 40 years ago. So yes, it's considered as a history.
Hmm.
Um, so thank you for participating. Thank you for
Yeah. Thank
the
you.
answering this interview,
For sure.
and thank you for watching. Thank you all for watching, and see you for another episode of the Serial Pleasures Show. Bye.